welcome to this session of Make and Meditate, our first session. Just popping on a bit early, so we'll give folks a little bit of time to show up and get organized and get oriented to what's going on here. In the meantime, I will maybe just speak just briefly about supplies as people are popping in and kind of checking in what's going on, or if you're watching this on the repeat, that's wonderful too. I'll give you a second just to connect with supplies. So for each of these Make and Meditate, it's very simple. I want you just to work with your favorite color medium that you have. I'm going to be working with watercolors here today. I find that watercolors really slow me down and make me kind of really have to whoosh in and let go of control. If you have crayons, that's great. If you have, pencil crayons, or if you have other paints that you like, or pastels, or whatever your favorite color medium is, we're going to be working with color today. So you're going to want to have a palette of color in front of you. I am going to be working with this tiny little square of paper about the size of my hand, but you're welcome to work on like an art journal page or something similar to that if that feels like the right place for you to work. Again, we're not making masterpieces here today. We are meditating and we are making and we are paying attention and noticing ourselves. So you are welcome to be able to do whatever you would like to do for your colors and for your mediums. I also want to be able just to see if you would like to have a pencil and a piece of paper as well on hand. It's always a really wonderful thing as well to do. In the expressive arts, as those of you who've worked with me before know, I always like to get you to do a little bit of writing in terms of the creations that you're doing too. So welcome to everybody catching this live. If you need to pop in or pop out, you are more than welcome to do that as you need. This session will be about 45 minutes long. So if you are watching the replay, it would be helpful for you to be able to plan and figure that out as you're doing that with your time and your schedule. So I think we will get started. I know I had a bit of a hectic morning, a bit of a crazy morning. Some of you may or may not know, I have 3 young kids, and sometimes my house is a little bit chaotic. So I'm really looking forward to just sitting down and making with you for the next little while and really grounding and connecting myself to this day, this moment with you here together. So for those of you who don't know me, hello, I'm Rachel Rose. I am the face behind Workshop Muse. I come to you today as an expressive arts educator, which is a really fancy word for saying that I work with all of the arts and all forms of creativity and expression. I work with visual arts, I work with words, I work with movement, I work with music, I work with story, I work with drama, I work with anything that feels creative and expressive is part of my palette for how I work and function. So what we're going to be doing here today is we are going to be just focusing on meditating, because the other piece that I bring to the expressive arts is using mindfulness to be able to connect and make sense of our world and explore what's going on. So my intention here today is to help you really pay attention. And my goal, I was thinking about what's my goal for us over the next 45 minutes. And my goal for us really is to be able to really connect and chat with what's is going on for us in the present moment, really pay attention, really notice what's going on for us. So I'm just going to give people just a few more seconds just to connect with the live and catch up with the feed that's going on. Grab your supplies, grab your colors and your pencils, and then we'll jump right in. So my intention for us today is to be able to spend about 10 minutes arriving, 10 minutes in a more formal meditation where I'm going to walk you through it. I'm going to guide you through this process. I'm going to hold your hand through every step of the way. And then after we have our meditation I'm going to walk you through a creative process where we're just going to be paying attention to color today. We're going to be paying attention to how color connects with us, how we interpret color, the labels that we have for colors that we're using, just all of the sense of just color. I know sometimes when we're creating, we can feel very overwhelmed because we're trying to look at space and we're looking at lines and we're looking at color and all of these sorts of things. And so it can be very overwhelming. And so I really want us just to peel back and really connect with just color today here. And that's going to be our work. We're going to pay attention on purpose to color, to how it makes us feel inside. And we're going to pay attention to ourselves throughout this creative process. So if all you do in this creative process is pay attention to your thoughts, to your breath, and to the colors on the page, then that will be a wonderful use of your time and your energy. So let's begin. So my hope is for you to just arrive in this present moment. My invitation for you is just to arrive in this present moment. And so what I want to ask you to do is, if it feels safe for you to close your eyes. If it doesn't feel safe for you to close your eyes, if you know that about yourself, you're welcome just to find a soft gaze and look forward and just be with the moment and where you are. And just feel the space right now. If your eyes are closed, just feel the shifting energy from where you were before and what was going on for you before and what's happening right now. Just breathe. And as you feel this transitional space, in between space, I want you just to check in with yourself. I want you just to see, how am I feeling right now? Am I feeling a certain emotion? Maybe physical sensation that feels significant for you? Maybe you want to hold on to whatever was just happening before. You're not quite ready to move to what's now. Let's check in with yourself and just note that. You don't have to do anything about it. You don't have to judge it in any way. Just note that. And so I want us to begin by doing what's known as a breathing technique called 7-11 breathing. We're going to do it for just a few breaths, and then we're going to fall into more of a natural state with breathing. We're paying attention to our breath right now is the intention. So the 7-11 breathing works like this. I'm going to teach it to you, and then I'm going to support you to do it independently. You breathe in through your nose for the count of 7. Hold for 1 second, and then exhale for the count of 11. So breathe in through your nose to the count of 7. Hold, and then exhale for the count of 11. And in again with that rhythm for 7. And then exhaling. We're stretching our exhales to be longer than our inhales and really noticing that transitional moment. And so just try that for just a few more breaths, maybe 2 or 3 more 7-11 breaths. And so when it feels right, you can just go back to just a gentle, normal stream of breath in and out. If you want to continue with the 7-Eleven, that's welcome too. We're just attuning ourselves to our breaths right now. It's the natural flow of the in and the out. And so now I want to invite us to just pay attention to how the breath feels coming in and out of our body. Is there a spot where you notice it? It might be through your nose or the back of your throat or even your chest rising and falling. But just be curious and see if you can pay attention to where you feel your breath coming in and out. There might be a sensation along with it. You might feel a temperature. It's going to be normal for you. For those of you that are new to meditation, this might feel novel, but for those of you who've done meditation before, your mind is going to wander. It's a very normal, natural thing. And when you notice that you're thinking about something else or wondering or feeling distracted, if you catch yourself, that's great. Just bring yourself back to your breath. Just invite yourself gently to come back to your breath. You don't need to judge yourself or shame yourself for having been distracted. That's part of being human. We just want to notice. We just want to pay attention here today. So we're noticing the feeling of our breath coming in and out. Again, it might be the temperature or sensation, just even the active motion behind it. Now see if you can notice the sound of your breath. Does it make a different sound when it comes in versus when it comes out? Is it tempting to notice distracting sounds around you or other sounds in your environment? That's okay too. Just notice your breath working in concert with those other background sounds. And just be with that for just a few moments. We're just paying attention to our breath, to the sounds it makes, to the sensations it has. We're paying attention to the temptation of our minds to be busy, to think. We're welcoming and inviting our brain to just take a rest and come back to our breath. So I want to invite you just to check back in with yourself. How are you feeling now? Has there been a shift in the energy or the feelings or whatever was uh, really standing out for you before to now, or is it the same? Is there space in between? or maybe it feels closer. Just note the feelings that you're having in this moment right now, whether they be body sensations or emotions or just an overall tone or otherwise. We're going to conclude with just taking a few more of those 7-11 breaths. So just in your own time, inhale through your nose to the count of 7. Exhale through your mouth to the count of 11. And do that 2 more times in your own time. When it feels right, we're going to transition again into the next moment. We're going to pay slow, careful attention to what it feels like to open our eyes or to reavert our gaze. We're going to notice that sensation and that feeling of revisiting this world around us. We're going to go slow because we can go slow. In a moment, we're going to welcome this shifting energy, this shifting emotion that we're having right now to our art making. And all along the way, we're going to be practicing that noticing part of ourselves. That part of ourselves that is observing the breath, that's observing the movements that we're making, that is observing the sounds that we're making. And so I'm just preparing to share my screen with you. If you want to move yourself into a space to be able to connect with your color palette and your paper, I'm going to share with you and hope that my internet is working very slowly here today. A bit of a lag happening here. Let's see if it will catch up with us here in the moment. So nonetheless, even if my screen is laggy here, I can walk and talk you through this, and hopefully my shared screen catches up with us here. And maybe it's just moving as slow as per my instruction. Here we go. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be making something similar to this here. We're going to be moving through and making colors and blobs. We're just paying attention to color here today. And so this exercise is designed to help us just pay attention to color and how we feel about color, how our bodies react to color, how the thoughts, the feelings, the emotions that feel connected to color, all of that. Sorry, everyone. It seems like my screen is very laggy right now. I'm sorry about that. So if it catches up, great. If it doesn't catch up, I suppose we'll just create together nonetheless. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to start with colors that feel cool. So we can think about with a word, with the knowledge and the learning that we've had before around maybe colors, or we can just lead with a body sensation around what we perceive to be cool, what feels cool to us, what feels cold. If we start thinking about the labels that we offer the word cold or otherwise, It might be that we have sensations around the seasons, around winter, around fall. It might be feelings around emotions, around sadness, or feeling depression, or those sorts of things. And then as we think about the labels that we offer, colors that tend to be more warm, again, we tend to have a natural element to it where we think of sunshine. We think about the energy of growth, of new things growing, and a fresh color to it. We think about happiness and joy, those sorts of things. But this spectrum of cool to warm really is a very broad spectrum for us to think about. I'm just going to see if I can share this again and get us going here. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with cool colors, and we're going to move ourselves more so towards warmer colors. And so this is a subjective exercise. This is you offering yourself the thoughts and the feelings around what it feels like to have cool or warm or otherwise. So it does look like my sharing is going to be a bit finicky and difficult today. I've never had that happen before. There must be something about faith. Okay, so let's begin. Let's start with our breath. You can see that it's a little bit, this kind of where we're moving towards is these blobs of color here. So take a breath, connect with yourself, connect with your palette. And I want you just to think about looking at your color palette. Whatever tools you have in front of you, again, are always welcome. And just to think about the feelings of cool, the label of cool, what colder, there might even be other words that come up with it around being chilled or feeling blustery or that sort of thing. And I want you just to choose one color that feels like it moves in that direction. And all you're going to do is you're going to just take one little bit of that color and add it very slowly to your page. And so one of the pieces of advice I have for us as we go through this is to see if you can really set the intention to move very slowly, to move slower than you think you need to move. And when you notice that you're speeding up, to slow yourself back down. As simple as that. You inevitably probably will, but to bring yourself back to a slower state, a slower way of being. And so we're just paying attention to color. So we don't really need to pay attention to too much around shapes. Whatever the shape comes as is what the shape comes as. You don't need to worry about size. You might want to just keep that flow of your breath in and out as you slowly think about these colors that you're adding. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to work, and I'm going to hold my piece up to you from time to time so you can just see rather than experience the lag. So I'm just working with the colors that I perceive and feel to be cool right now. And I'm just making shapes on my page, nothing more than that. And as I look at the colors, I want to check in with what thoughts or feelings or memories or impressions that these give me. I'm going to very slowly, very intentionally just make colored marks on my page that feel cool. So again, this is subjective. So what feels cool to you might not feel cool to me. There might be a universal experience around it, but maybe not. And as we create, we're just going to notice our breath, and we're going to pay attention to the thinking side of ourselves. You might be tempted to think, oh, I don't have the right colors here, or oh, I should have done that, or am I doing cool right? Is this cool? Or it might even be that the thinking part of you has gone down memory lane around a color piece. And so just if you notice that, that's okay. Just notice that part of yourself. Just notice thinking and bring yourself back to slowly making marks with your colors. Notice the saturation. Notice how hard or how easy it is to be slow. If at any point you feel like you've kind of lost it and you're moving too fast or just feel kind of frazzled or otherwise, just stop and take a few 7-11 breaths just to reground yourself and really be with where you're at in that moment, that feeling, that emotion that's happening for you. So branch with your colors as you need to. Think about it as a spectrum of feeling. You might just want to start in one direction and move into another direction and see how the colors evolve on the page. So I'm leaving space in between my colors, but you are welcome to have your cool colors start to touch or move closer to each other. Again, the purpose of this exercise is just to be with the different colors that you have, to pay attention to them. So you're welcome to follow as I'm doing, as best as you can see, or you're welcome to do differently. And just noticing the thoughts. Noticing your hands move. Noticing the experience to think about color in terms of your own experience rather than what a teacher says or a color wheel says or otherwise. And so exploring the colors still. One of the joys of working with colors that you can mix is there's an experience of letting go a bit around what each color's outcome will be and how certain colors might make you feel certain things or remind you of certain things or conjure up thoughts for you. So that experience of noticing the thinking part of ourselves, paying attention to that thought as it bubbles up inside of us, rather than just being in the thought, is in essence what mindfulness work practices are all about, is just really being with and really noticing how life can kind of hold on to us and take it in its grip, take us in its grips and carry us away. And so mindful art is a chance for us to slow down and pay attention. If you have only a few colors that feel cool, you're welcome to just keep making a few marks and just noticing them. You might have a medium that you can mix or otherwise. If you don't have a medium that you can mix, that's okay too. If we had crayons, we could continue to move back through the colors we have. We could challenge ourselves or set the intention to go even slower. And so our breath is always there as an anchor for us, a place for us to find some solid footing, to go back to be with. Even when we're in the flow of creating, our breath is there as a support for us to make space between us and our thinking, to gain perspective, and to almost push a pause button between the unfolding thoughts and thinking and guidance that comes from that thinking part of ourselves, which may or may not be helpful. As you add each color, you may want to think about giving it a name, just as the great friends at Crayola always do, where they make shades or the paint people do. What label would you give this color? What feeling does it conjure up for you or memory? In this sense, colors almost are a label for us to be able to make sense of something incredibly complex, like color and how it makes us feel. And so I'm continuing to keep space between my objects, my blobs, but I think I'm going to start filling in the space and starting to have some of the space touch one another. But you're welcome to keep the space, or you're welcome to have them kind of move in different directions as well. And again, if all we do here today is move slowly with colors and pay attention to color and to ourselves as we create, then we have achieved what it was we intended to do. What we make is beautiful or interesting or otherwise. That's kind of beside it, the point. That's a subjective label that we'll put on or won't put on afterwards. And in fact, it might be a useful exercise for us to resist the urge to name whatever it is we're doing as good, bad, ugly, worthy, not worthy. And just breathing still. Just returning to that anchor of our breath. Just continuing with color, to just explore color. Moving from cool to warm, and maybe back around to cool and back around to warm, circling, circling. Moving our bodies with slow intention. Returning to our breaths. Noticing the thinking part of ourselves and its temptation to judge what we're doing, to say that it's good or bad or right or wrong or beautiful or ugly. Knowing that that's just a thought. It's just one interpretation. It's just a judgment that we bring forward or allow others to bring forward to our creations. In the moment, none of that matters. In the moment, you're just making marks. You're just playing with color. And see if even just the color that you're working on, if you can just think about a name for it. What would you name that color if you were the person to be naming colors? Oh my goodness. Sorry, my iPad is ringing. The distractions of life are abundant. Our lack of control over how things unfold is an illusion. It's all a great reminder just to be with what is. So I'll show you what I'm working on here again too, just filling in the spaces in between. And how is your breath? And how is your body? And how is your heart? And how is your mind? How are you surrendering? Check in with ourselves in the unfolding of life. can be sometimes really all we need to find our grounding again. It's just asking ourselves how we're doing, asking ourselves what meaning, what sense this has. Asking ourselves to let go. So I'm going to invite you to bring your piece to a pause and or a close in the next 2 to 3 minutes, because I have a closing exercise I'd like us to do with our pieces. So there's something that feels important, or a space or a spot that you really wanted to kind of work in or with. Noticing if you feel rushed by my instruction. And if you do, there's no need to rush. You can just pause. You can pick this back up, or you can start this all over again, or do whatever it is that you like. You can be done with it in a few moments. You can continue to work on it. It can be whatever you want it to be. It can be torn up and made into something new. It can be hung up in somewhere special. It could be the seed of something else that you're beginning. So my watercolor blobs are just starting to dry here. That's where I'm at. So you can keep working away, and I'm going to give you one more instruction, one more prompt to help you bring this little process to a bit of a close. I always like to think about an ending, a beginning where we open with a meditation and we transition into that space, and then we are in the making, and then we transition out, because we'll need to prepare to reintegrate ourselves back into the world and have a bit of a closure on this, a bookend, if you will, for this process. So my invitation to you is to write 2 to 3 words that you feel really respond to this creation that you've just made, whether it's the experience or whatever you have on the page. I want you just to move to a piece of paper and just write 2 to 3 words. They might be feeling words, they might be adjectives, descriptors. They might be like a sense or an overall tone, those sorts of things. But I'll give you just a moment just to come up with 2 to 3 words that kind of feel like it fits somehow with either the experience or the page or what you just created on the page. And so now with those 2 words, my invitation to you is to 2 to 3 words, whatever you've got. If you want more, that's fine too, is to turn those words into a poetic phrase, one line of poem. And so if you've never worked with me before, when I talk about poetry, it doesn't need to rhyme. It doesn't need to make your high school English teacher proud of you. It doesn't need to make sense. It needs to emanate from a place within, and it needs to have, it's about expressing through voice and tone. So I want to encourage you to write a 1 to 2 line poem using those 2 little root words that you were just offered there. So the two words that I came up with for my piece was reaching and desiccate, because there's something, I have a lot of kind of darker tones and colors going on with this. There's not really anything really, even though I was like in cool moving to warm, even my warm colors really have like a dead kind of feel to it, a fallish kind of feel to it. And so, but yours might be more about the experience. So I'm going to just very quickly on the fly write a 2-line poem that has the words reaching and desiccate in it. And I want to invite you to do it as well too. Just on the fly, I just wrote, as I reach for the desiccate in life, I notice abundance. And so that feels like a nice little accompanying phrase and word to go with this little creation. As I reach for the desiccate in life, I notice abundance. And so thank you. That's how I feel about this. I know it didn't really go as I had planned. I'm sorry that my iPad Zoom wouldn't work. They wouldn't play together. But I am very grateful for those of you who are joining me live and or watching this on the replay, and hope that you were able to settle and arrive. And as I said at the beginning, my goal for you was to pay attention to color, pay attention to your breath, pay attention to your thoughts. So I hope that you feel like you made some energy towards paying attention here today. So I will take a breath. I will feel gratitude for the opportunity to share and create alongside with you. And next week, we are going to be doing a bit of a different meditation and still focusing on just one form of art making where we are exploring just lines. We're going to just be looking at lines. And so I welcome you to bring your favorite color medium and your pencil and a piece of paper and a piece of art paper, and we will ground and we will make and we will meditate together. So thanks, everyone. If you would like, I'd love to see what you made in the group, whether it's your words or your poem or part of your creation. And as always, welcome your feedback and your thoughts about how this can be more supportive for you. Bye, everyone.